Hey, welcome back to the Sales Performance Insights Podcast. I'm Frank Gustafson, your host. And today we're going to tackle a sacred cow in most organizations, the pipeline review. Is yours a real review, or is it just a roll call that keeps fiction alive? Look, I'm going to be blunt. If your pipeline conversations end in, they're interested, you're forecasting hope, not evidence. In this episode, I want to show you how to run proof-driven pipeline review that produces clear forecasts, faster sales cycles, and fewer end-of-quarter surprises. Let me start with a quick story. A few years ago, I stepped into a company that had a seven-figure forecast that was supposed to close in quarter three. By the end of the quarter, these locks were turned into later and then into silence. The CEO was frustrated, the sales reps were defensive, and the pipeline looked like a garage full of old furniture that no one wanted to throw away. So here's what I found. The team was doing regular pipeline meetings, but these weren't reviews. They were status updates, and they sounded something like, hey, where are we with the Acme deal? Still in proposal. Okay, next. That isn't inspection, that's attendance, and attendance doesn't create revenue. So here's the first question I ask leaders, and I want you to sit with this for a bit. Would you bet your own money on the deals you're forecasting this month? And if the answer is no, we've got to change the review process. And it's about hope versus proof. A review that is based on proof, not hope, is the key here. So let's define those terms. Hope sounds something like, hey, they loved our demo. They said they're going to get back to me next week sometime. Proof sounds like the CFO confirmed the budget is allocated for this quarter. We scheduled a call with procurement next Wednesday. Proof is observable. It's verifiable. Hope is just a feeling. When I run pipeline reviews, I use a simple rule, and it's a very simple rule. Proof or pause. If there isn't enough evidence to justify the stage, the deal pauses right there until the rep can go back and collect the information that's missing. No penalty, no drama, just reality. So as you listen today, ask yourself, if I remove the optimistic adjectives from the pipeline, what would be left? And if the answer is not much, good. That means that you're finally seeing the truth. There's 4 filters that help keep this pipeline review honest. And I use these to decide where a deal belongs and if it's sitting in the right place. These are not fancy, but they're tough. The first one is pain. Do we understand the problem in the customer's words? Not the sales rep's words, but the customer's words. And do we understand the cost of not solving it? Again, in the customer's words. The second piece is investment or budget. Do we know how they plan to pay? Do we know who owns the money? Do we know the bounds of the budget? The third part is the decision. Do we know what the process is, what the decision-making process is, what what people are involved in the process, what's the criteria for making a decision? And I like to start with the timeline. When's D-Day? When does it need to happen? And then you can work backwards. So do we have all of that today? And then the fourth piece is next step. Do we have a clear, firm, mutually agreed, calendar-based next action step? And if the deal falls short on any one of these, look, it could stay in the pipeline, but it can't live in the forecast. I'm not anti-optimism, but I am pro-evidence. So you've got to check these things. Here's how I check each one of these filters in a review. Number one, pain. The questions are, hey, what's the business impact in their words? No, give me the sentence that they used. Check pain. Next piece is budget. Who gets to say yes to the investment, and what number did they attach to the problem? In the decision piece, what's their timeline? What's their deadline? Walk me through the steps that they follow to buy something like this. And then who shows up and where do they show up along this pipeline? Next steps. What is scheduled in the calendar with the prospects? What's the date? What's the time? What's the mutually agreed purpose, the mutually agreed agenda, and the mutually agreed possible outcomes for that meeting? If you can't answer those clearly, The stage is inflated. Deflate it now, control forecast volatility later. There's some red flags here. Every pipeline has smoke. The question is, are you treating it like fog or like fire? Listen for these 5 red flags. I'm going to give you 5 here. The first one is vague timing. You might hear this should close soon, or they're targeting next quarter. Super vague, super vague. How about single threading? I only talk to the champion, but the VP is aware. Red flag, risk. How about money mush? Hey, they haven't discussed budget, but they love us. Mushy. What about pleasant meetings? We had a great conversation, great energy, no commitments. Problem? Red flag. What about everybody hates to be ghosted, but then we go and justify ghosting. So some of these justifications might sound like, yeah, they're busy. They're traveling. My contact is traveling. It's year end, or there's a reorg going on. Each of these red flags deserves one response in a review. What proof do we have that movement is happening? And if the answer is a shrug, then we pause the deal. And when we pause the deal, the next step is to design the next step. What's the next conversation to move from uncertainty to certainty? And we create a strategy to mitigate this problem, the problem at hand, that vagueness, that money much, any of those issues that we've got, we need to mitigate that problem. Pipeline reviews should feel like coaching, not like court, right? Yeah, my tone is direct, but the goal is growth, not gotcha. It's never got you. And if it feels like got you, it's not coaching. Get it right. I want the rep to leave with a plan that raises the altitude of the conversation with the buyer. So here's some of my go-to coaching prompts. Hey, what's one question we haven't asked yet because it feels uncomfortable? If you were the buyer, what would stop you from signing this month? What proof would convince you that this deal is real? How about, how can we earn an introduction to the person who signs without sounding pushy? When the rep answers these questions honestly, then they discover the gap. And once they see the gap, they know what to go ask for next. So here's a tool that I use with leadership that helps kind of sharpen the thinking, and it cleans the forecast quickly. Pick your top 10 deals in the forecast. For each of these deals, ask the deal owner, would you bet $1,000 of your own money that this closes by the date in the CRM? No hemming, no hawing. It's just a yes or a no. And if the answer is yes, then the follow-up question is, what proof makes you so confident? And if the answer is no, then the follow-up question is, what proof would change your answer in the next 14 days? And you're going to notice something. Deals that they bet on have clear pain, have clear budget, have clear decision, and they have clear next steps. And the ones that they wouldn't bet on are living in charm and chance. This exercise, it doesn't humiliate reps. It liberates them from wishful thinking. I'm going to say this out loud. Doing a deal early is a win. It frees up time, it frees up attention, and it frees up energy for your sales reps to work with and invest that time and that attention, that energy with the right prospects. It improves morale because it stops those late term losses. And it tells the market, look, you're a professional, you're not needy. We have to celebrate disqualification. We have to track it. We have to learn from it. When a rep says to something like this to you, hey, this looked good, then we discover the buying committee needs a different vendor profile, I say, great, fine. The worst words in sales are, we almost had it. And almost is always expensive. So do you have an operating system? Do you have an operating system or a playbook for pipeline review? I'm going to give you 7 elements that you could use and that you could implement this week. The first one is cadence. A pipeline review cadence for active reps is weekly. It might be bi-weekly for longer sales cycles. Keep these things short, 25 to 40 minutes, and keep the agendas tight. The next piece is the roster. Who needs to be there? The manager and the rep. I only invite leadership when we're training or when we're modeling a new behavior. What about prep? Preparation is key. The sales reps must update the stages, the amounts, and the next steps before the meeting. No live cleanup in the room. How about the order? How do we decide which deals to move? Start with the top 3 deals, the top 3 by revenue, but only if they can move this month. Then we talk about stuck deals, the ones that are older than the median sales cycle. Then we might move to newly created opportunities that look promising. And then finally, deletions or downgrades to keep the forecast honest. Some standardized questions. Pick these, pick your own. I like these. I think these are important. What proof keeps this deal in this stage? What would prove the next stage? There's got to be exit criteria on every stage in your pipeline. So where's the proof? Who's the signer? And when do they get involved in the conversation? What is already scheduled, specifically scheduled with a date and a time and a purpose, an agenda and possible outcomes, all of this mutually agreed with the prospect. Then you need to think about hygiene. And there's some rules here around hygiene. No next step in the calendar, no deal stage advancement. It can't move forward if there's no next step in the calendar, mutually agreed. No identified money owner, no commitment in the forecast. Take it out, move it back. No multi-threading in a complex sale, no late stage confidence. And then finally, you need a scoreboard. You've got to track the proof metrics, not just the activity. Things like maybe percentage of late stage deals with finance engaged, or percentage with a mutual action plan attached, or number of new stakeholder introductions per week. Run this system. Run it for 30 days. Watch how many maybe deals either move or disappear altogether. Both of those outcomes are good. When you move a deal out, when a deal gets lost, do you perform a deal autopsy? And this is a short segment. Do it once a month with sales and leadership. Pick a lost or stalled deal and reconstruct the story with the facts only. Where did we skip a proof step? What kind of questions did we avoid asking because they were difficult? What did the buyer tell us in our first meeting that predicted this outcome? And then what would we do differently on next opportunity that looks similar to this? Keep it blameless, keep it fast. And the goal here is institutional learning. And the effect is culture. The team starts to value truth over appearances. Here's some talk tracks that you might be able to use. Feel free to change them up. You can use these with your reps today. How about a talk track to secure budget proof? Hey, Bob, customer Bob, can we spend 15 minutes with the person who owns the budget to just confirm our assumptions and our timing? I'll bring a draft ROI, and we just need a thumbs up or a nudge in the right direction. What about earning a decision maker intro? Hey, Bob, I don't want to create rework for you. In similar projects, we bring the signer in for a quick alignment call so nothing surprises them. Would you be open to doing that this week or next week? How about addressing timeline fog? Hey, Bob, if we slip past this month, what changes on your side? Who else needs to weigh in? And how do we get them what they need and get it to them now? How about surfacing pain in their words, not yours, but theirs? Hey, Bob, when a problem shows up, what gets delayed? Who's frustrated by this? What does it cost you in a typical month to not fix this? How about rescuing a ghosting situation? You've been ghosted. Hey, Bob, I might have missed something important. If this has fallen down on the list, no worries. Just tell me where it really sits. And if it's still a priority, can we put 10 minutes on the calendar and agree on next steps? These talk tracks will help turn hope into movement, or they're going to reveal the truth. Either one of those are wins, right? So what's your action plan? Here's what I encourage you to do for a week, and do it this week. Pick 5 deals that represent 70-ish% of your forecast. For each of these deals, write down the proof, the pain, the investment/budget, the decision process, and the clear next step. And if any of those boxes is empty, design one conversation to fill that box, and then schedule that conversation before Friday. And at the end of the week, you'll have a cleaner pipeline and a calmer mind. You'll also have a team that knows exactly what good looks like. Here's the big idea. Real pipeline reviews don't make everyone feel good. They make everyone see reality. When you're on a reality, the numbers take care of themselves. Hey, if you need help installing this pipeline, I've got a 1-page pipeline proof scorecard and a review checklist that you can use with your team. If you want it, just comment proof in the comments and I'll send you a message, or send me a message and I'll get it out to you. No obligation, right? I appreciate you listening today. And if you heard something that someone you know needs to hear, please pass this episode along to them. And if we're not connected, let's connect on LinkedIn. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to my weekly newsletter. It's chock full of great information like this. Now, go run a real review this week. Remember, proof or pause, and watch your forecasts get sharper. Until next time, remember, no one ever got fired for improving sales results.